Every time you press a brake pedal, you are, in a very real sense, setting money on fire. Not literally, but every kilogram of moving mass you own is carrying energy. Your engine or motor spent real fuel or real electrons to build. And when you slow down, that energy doesn't vanish. It goes somewhere. In almost every car built for the last 100 years, it goes into your brake rotors as heat, and then it goes into the air, and then it's just gone. You paid for it once. You'll never see it again. Here's the part that sounds impossible. What if the act of stopping a wheel could also charge a battery? Not someday with an expensive factory hybrid system. Today, in a garage. With a hydraulic pump, a DC motor, and a level of mechanical stubbornness most people don't associate with brake pads. This isn't science fiction, and it isn't some Silicon Valley fever dream either. Industrial engineers have been doing versions of this for 2 decades. Systems like Eaton's hydraulic launch assist work by grabbing the kinetic energy of a decelerating vehicle and converting it into potential energy. Hydraulic fluid gets shoved into an accumulator, compressing nitrogen gas at high pressure, essentially storing your braking force like a coiled spring made of gas and math. And electric vehicles do something structurally similar with motors instead of fluid. Real-world data backs this up. EVs recover, on average, about 22% of the energy they'd otherwise waste through regenerative braking. In stop-and-go city driving, that number jumps to 34%. On a smooth highway, where you're barely touching the brakes, just 6%, which tells you something important right away. This technology doesn't reward smoothness. It rewards chaos. It rewards traffic lights, stop signs, and that one guy who brakes for green lights. So no, this isn't magic. It's redirection. Every time you slow down, you're producing energy whether you want to or not. The only question is whether that energy becomes useless heat in a brake rotor or useful electricity sitting in a battery waiting for round 2. And under the right conditions, the kind of stop-start deceleration most commuters do without thinking twice, modern regen systems can capture somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70% of that per-stop energy directly inside the motor and its electronics. That's not a rounding error. That's the difference between nice bonus and genuinely changes your energy bill. So here's the real question this video is built around. Can you replicate even a rough version of that? Hydraulics doing the heavy mechanical lifting, a simple DC motor doing the electrical conversion, using parts you could reasonably source, wire, and bolt together yourself? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it involves nitrogen, back-EMF, and a genuinely satisfying amount of engineering cheating. Let's start where the energy actually starts disappearing, the wheel. When you brake a normal car, a caliper clamps a spinning rotor, and friction turns your forward motion into heat. That heat drifts into the atmosphere and does absolutely nothing for you ever again. It's the automotive equivalent of setting money on fire to stay warm for 4 seconds. Our version intercepts that motion before it becomes heat. A hydraulic pump, mechanically linked to the drivetrain, gets driven by the wheel's rotation during deceleration. Instead of letting that force dissipate, the pump pressurizes hydraulic fluid and pushes it into an accumulator, a sealed vessel with a chamber of compressed nitrogen gas. This is the same core principle behind Eaton's hydraulic launch assist system used in heavy trucks. Kinetic energy converts into potential energy, stored as pressure, sitting there patiently until you need it back. Now here's where people usually assume the story ends. Pressurized fluid, cool, done, right? Not quite. That stored hydraulic pressure isn't the final form of the energy. It's a middleman. When you accelerate again, that pressurized fluid gets released through a hydraulic motor, which spins a shaft, and that shaft is coupled to our DC motor. Here's the elegant part, and also the part that trips people up. A DC motor and a DC generator are the same object wearing different hats. Spin it with electrical power, it becomes a motor. Spin the shaft mechanically instead, and it starts generating voltage, what's called back-EMF, or back electromotive force. Whether that generated voltage actually charges anything depends entirely on one deceptively simple rule. Current flows from high voltage to low voltage. So if your battery pack sits at a voltage lower than the motor's back-EMF at that spinning speed, energy flows into the battery. If the battery voltage is higher, nothing happens. The motor just spins uselessly, generating potential that has nowhere to go. It's less electrical engineering and more plumbing with electrons. This threshold is why timing and gearing matter so much in a DIY build. Get the ratios wrong, and your system either never engages or engages so aggressively it fights the wheel like an overprotective older sibling. Professionally engineered regen systems capture roughly 60 to 70% of braking energy under ideal lab conditions. Real-world EVs average around 22% overall, spiking to 34% in stop-and-go city driving, and dropping to a sad 6% on a smooth highway where you barely brake at all. Even hydraulic kinetic energy recovery systems swing from 48% efficiency on flat decelerations to over 85% going downhill. A garage-built hydraulic DC hybrid won't hit lab numbers, but it doesn't need to. It needs to be the system that does nothing at all, which, if you've ever ridden a bike with brakes that just convert your momentum into heat and regret, is the actual baseline we're working against. So let's talk numbers. If our garage rig captures even 20% of the kinetic energy that would otherwise vanish as heat in the brake pads, that's not a rounding error. That's in the same neighborhood as a real EV's highway performance. Hit 30 or 35%, and congratulations, you've built something that statistically outperforms a Tesla doing 70 down a straight, flat interstate. Nobody tell Elon. Here's the thing that actually matters. Efficiency isn't a fixed number. It's a conversation between your driving conditions and your hardware. Remember that hydraulic KR swing? 48% on a gentle flat stop, 85% on a downhill run? Our motor and accumulator setup lives in that same emotional roller coaster. Stop-and-go driving, lots of short aggressive decel. That's our version of city traffic, and it's where a hydraulic assist system genuinely shines, because you're refilling that nitrogen accumulator constantly instead of asking it to do one dramatic thing once. And that's really the design philosophy here. We're not trying to out-engineer Eaton's hydraulic launch assist or beat a Prius at its own game. We're trying to prove a principle on a bench, with parts that came from a hardware store and a junkyard, and see the needle move in the right direction. Because once you understand that a DC motor spun by momentum is just a generator with commitment issues, and that a hydraulic accumulator is basically a mechanical battery holding its breath, the whole concept stops being magic and starts being a checklist. What's next? If you've got this running, the obvious upgrade is instrumentation, actually logging voltage, current, and pressure across a real stop, not just eyeballing a gauge and nodding approvingly. After that, look at accumulator sizing, because an undersized one is like trying to store a swimming pool in a shot glass. And if you really want to chase those 60 to 70% lab numbers, the next frontier is smoothing the handoff between hydraulic assist and electrical regen so they're not stepping on each other's job. Because here's the honest takeaway. Even trains, multi-ton, steel-wheeled trains, only claw back about 40% of their energy through regen, feeding it straight into the third rail. If a train can't hit 70%, your garage isn't failing by falling short of it either. You're not building a lab-grade system. You're building understanding, one captured joule at a time. If this kind of hands-on engineering breakdown is your thing, subscribe. There's more of this coming, and I'd rather explain it to you than to myself in an empty garage. Drop a comment if you've tried something like this, and hit like if your motor didn't catch fire. Progress, not perfection.